2025 for Malayalam cinema wasn't that great. That's what I found out when I made my list for the top 10 Malayalam films of the year, and it was hard to make. What happened? Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and last year was such a banger for Malayalam cinema that everything else will be pale in comparison. And I think maybe that is one of the reasons why this year hasn't been a standout. I saw almost 27 new releases this year, and out of that only one film was like all out hit for me. Remaining all the films I had few issues with them. And that made me wonder, am I being too harsh on Malayalam cinema? Has the standard been so high that anything below that doesn't work for me? This is something I discussed with Vishal Menon in my interview. If you haven't seen, do check it out later. And there was a comment on that video that now I have become a true Malayalam audience, that my bar is just too high. What do you think is the reason? But none of this means it was a bad year at all. You can call it a Mohanlal year where he had 3 releases: L2 Empuran, Thudaram, Hidyapurvam, and all of them bangers at the box office. Loka Chapter 1 became the biggest Malayalam film ever and grossed over 300 crores. After the success of Premalu, Naslin had 2 releases this year. Loka Chapter 1 and Alopro Jimgana, and both stood out. And we had a new rising actor in Sandeep, first in Padakalam and then in Echo. So a lot happened this year. Now before we start the list, a big disclaimer: these are my personal picks. You may not agree with them, and you can always let me know your picks in the comments below. Also note that there are few films which I missed out that would have made my list, like the latest release of Niveen Pauly, Sarvam Maya, then films like Feminici Fatima and Pet Detective. So whenever I watch them, I'll update their ranking in the comments below. So let's begin with the list. Number 10 is Thudaram, directed by Tharun Murthy and starring Mohanlal in the lead. And we also got his pairing with Shobna back after 15 years. This film is a prime example how to use Mohanlal really well. This film celebrates him not by giving him high moments, but giving him opportunity to show his acting skills. And I think this film is a great homage to this legend, which also delivers an engaging story for you. Now shamelessly plugging that I interviewed the director and he revealed a lot of behind the scenes. If you haven't seen the interview, do check it out here. Number 9 is Rekha Chitram. I still remember this film didn't leave me fully satisfied, but this is a film that has still remained with me since I saw it early in the year. And I think that says something about the film. Again, they experiment with the genre of investigation thriller, which we see a lot in Malayalam cinema, and that refreshing takes make it stand out. For a thriller, it makes you very emotional by the end of it. I think that's why it stays with you. Number 8 is Kalam Kawal. Mammootty as a serial killer was not on my wish list, but I'm so happy to see that. He totally delivers, and so does Vinayakan. It was a really well-made film, but what overtook the film was, Mammootty playing this character, which just overshadows everything, and that should not be a case for a good film. Number 7 is the horror film Diye Irai. After giving us Bhutakalam and Ramayugam, Rahul Sedavan was back to give us another horror experience, this time around with Pranav Mohanlal, and it was a solid theatrical watch. It really gets you with the story, some really cool moments, but I felt the film left us with a lot of unanswered questions, and I was not really a fan of him making his own cinematic universe with this film. But you have to say this guy single-handedly reviving horror genre in India. Then number 6 is Echo, from the makers of Kishkinda Kandam, yet again an atmospheric thriller. Again, the whole idea and the concept was so unique, so refreshing. The performances were solid throughout, and I know for a lot of people this is one of the best films of the year, but for me there was a huge miscast in the film, as well as some execution issues with the later half of the film that brought the film on the 6th position. If that wasn't the case, I think it could have been my top pick also. Number 5 is Alapuru Jimkhana. It was such a refreshing boxing film because it was based on the director's true life. Someone again I got to interview and talk about the film, and it was such a cool and stylistic film. Like, you could feel the vibes of it watching in the theater. The music, the boxing, the way everything was designed was just superior. And I know many people don't like this film because it doesn't follow the template of a boxing sports film, and that's the thing actually makes me like it more. And you could see the whole cast dedicated themselves for this film. Number 4 is Ron. Again, a great police procedural by Malayalam cinema. You get to explore another side of police, the patrol unit. We see the banter between 2 officers played by Dilesh Puthan and Roshan Matthews, and they delivered on their role. For me, the only drawback was, which is not even a drawback, that they connected the film with Nayat. And Nayat is such a superior film that if you connect anything with it, it will fall behind. And that's what happened with this film for me. Number 3 is Avihitam. Again, a film only Malayalam cinema could produce. It's such a simple story, but it's so high in concept. I know some of the best films in the world are very simple, but they leave a big lasting impact. And that's what this film does. The way it takes an ordinary village story and turns it into a big heist film is just incredible. But the ending of the film turned out to be a biryani disaster, which I talked about in the review. Otherwise, it could have been the top film of the year. Number 2 is Loka Chapter 1 Chandra, a film I saw thrice in theaters and one more time at home with family. I've already said so much about this film, I don't know what else to add to it. It is such a well-crafted film. It understands the genre it is. It breaks so many patterns we are used to, tells a really cool story, creates stunning visuals, and over that builds a whole world to be explored later. My only small issue was the execution in the climax. I thought it could have been much better, but other than that, it was a class film of the year. A film that will inspire so many in the future. Before number 1, here are some special special mentions: Hidya Purvam, Ithiri Neeram, Sarkeet, Padakalam, Narayaninte Moonamakkal, and Moonwalk. There were more, but I didn't want to make a top 10 of special mentions also. I'll talk about them in the best of all industries video. But now, coming to number 1 is, I'm sure you already know, Pawn Man. This film came out in January and it's still one of my favorite Malayalam films of this year. Again, a film only Malayalam cinema could make. Such a simple story, how important gold is in Kerala society, and through that creating a heist film is just incredible. From start to the end, it was perfect for me. Outstanding performances by the cast, and Basil Joseph was just outstanding. So that was my list. Here you can check out my list for other industries. Of course, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with your list? Let me know your picks in the comments. Some special videos will also be out on the channel, so do check them out too, and I will see you next time next year. Let's see.